Welcome to Footsteps in a Foreign Land. Today we have Pearl here.
Thank you.
We are looking forward to the conversation with you, and I'm always diving directly. You have been in Germany for 3 years. I already said it's a fast track lane, and I'm really curious to hear more about your story. You did your master degrees in Dresden, Eastern Germany. What did you know about the city before heading there?
First, let's start. I love the way Germans or the German speakers say Dresden. I think it's quite cute, but so I knew nothing about Dresden, nothing entirely. I was forewarned before coming to Dresden. Once I got my application, I was told, oh, Dresden is in the east of Germany. So yes, I knew nothing about Dresden, nothing completely about Dresden. When I did my applications, I applied to a ton of universities, and TU Dresden was among them. And when I got the acceptance, I was quite happy because, you know, I'm getting to start my journey, my master's journey in Germany. So I was not particularly thinking about this city, right? And then when I do have a friend who has lived in Germany for roughly 5-6 years now, and he did warn me and told me, Dresden is in the east of Germany. It's particularly not friendly to foreigners, especially people of color. So when I did my research, like the first thing that pops up is the, what do you call it? I've forgotten it. It's this particular group of people in Dresden who have these demonstrations on Monday.
Yeah, Pegida.
Pegida, perfect. That's it. I forgot. And they still do have these demonstrations on Monday. And they're very anti-immigration and so many other things. And it's the first thing that pops up when you Google Dresden. And like, if you Google Dresden and black people, that's like the first search result you get. So yes, I was a bit worried prior to coming to Dresden. That changed once I got to Dresden completely. Don't read everything you see on the internet. And don't believe everything you see on the internet as well. You can read it, but don't believe it.
Okay.
And yeah, that's how I got into Dresden, but it completely changed once I got there.
Okay. So tell us a little bit more. I didn't really reveal where you did your bachelor's and where you're born and raised. Maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, yeah, I can. I was born and raised in Kampala, Uganda. That's the capital of Uganda. I grew up there as well. I did my primary school and my secondary school / high school there. And once I was done with high school, I went to do my bachelor's in Tanzania at University of Dar es Salaam.
Okay.
And why we chose University of Dar es Salaam as a family is because I wanted to do civil engineering, and I was not keen on going to the grand public university in Uganda, which is called Makerere. So the next best option and the next most affordable option was University of Dar es Salaam, UDSM in short. And I did it there, 4 years there, still can't speak a word of Swahili, so don't ask me.
How did you manage?
I think the same way I'm managing in Germany. You learn the small bits and pieces to get around. And I think the one thing that was a sort of problem or hindrance in learning the language is we had a very strong Ugandan community.
Oh, okay.
So when you do have a Ugandan community of friends that speak the same language, you're not looking outside your group for friends. You're safe in that bubble.
Yeah.
And we would have tons of parties, go to the beach, go to Zanzibar on the weekend. You know, it's just next door. And so yeah, it didn't push me to learn Swahili. And yeah, I do regret it sometimes, but I did enjoy my time in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. And yeah, once that was finished, I did go back home. I worked for 2.5 years.
Where do you work?
I worked at ICS and engineering back home in Kampala. It's a consultancy firm. So basic civil engineering, highway design, water management. So basic civil engineering. I worked there for 2.5 years. I mainly worked with the water department, and that's the path that led me to do my master's in Dresden, because my master's was in hydroscience and engineering, which is basically water.
And it was always on your list that you would do the master's, or
no, it wasn't.
Did you ever consider staying and working? Because It sounds good to me, having a job after the bachelor's back home.
Yeah, I didn't plan on doing my master's actually. I thought I would do something in management because that's what something my mom and dad was saying. You know, you could do a master's, like an MBA or something, you know. You can then move to management, you know. I didn't think I would master and specialize in a particular field in civil engineering. So while working at ICS, one of my great bosses, he was an expatriate from Ethiopia, and he was the only hydrologist that we had in the company. We didn't have many hydrologists, so we actually had an expatriate come in for this particular role in the different projects. So I shadowed him in a way for roughly a year, and I enjoyed working with the water side of civil engineering, and that's when I decided to perhaps think about mastering in this, and he wrote me a lovely recommendation list as well for TU Dresden, and yeah, that's how my path to mastering in Dresden started.
But yeah, so you studied civil engineering,
and
so how did it feel to be an engine girl while studying? But because I know, like, back home in Nigeria, we don't really have a lot of ladies studying engineering and all. So maybe out of 100, there was going to be like 10, 15. So it was like guys dominated. So how did it feel? I don't know how it was at Dar es Salaam. Yeah, so how was it?
You're right. Actually, we were the minority. The females were the minority. In the class of like maybe 100, we were like 20 females, or even less than. I'm not quite sure. And then when you would go for site visits, I'm not saying I'm jumping in the culvert. Let's be honest. I'm not jumping in this culvert. You know what a culvert is, right? The drainage pipe, you know? And mostly the ones we have back home are concrete culverts. And then one of my colleagues would say, you're not fit for this engineering world. You're going to sit in an office and manage people. And I was like, oh, if it happens, it happens. But guess what? I did have to jump in a bunch of culverts when I was working back in ICS, because, you know, you have to check the state of the existing culvert before you do any changes or remodeling or any, you know, updates to it. So, yeah, we were the minority. On occasion, we did have these sexist colleagues who would say, oh, you know, engineering isn't for ladies. You know, it's smart enough, or, you know, you can't get down and dirty with it. But again, we all graduated at the end of the day, so it didn't bother us much, and we expected it, you know. So yeah.
Okay, but you doing your master's here, did you actually feel the same, or it was different?
It was completely different. It was completely different, but quite similar, because most of completely different, but a little bit similar.
No, I'm curious.
Why I say that is because most of people in my master's are not. We're all international students. So you're coming from countries that still have that sexist mind thought. We still have people like from my country, from other African countries, from some South Asian countries, who still have that view of females can do the tough engineering jobs. I didn't say I personally felt that way, but you could see the hesitation in class when someone who was female had an answer, or if I offered to do something, they were like, okay, sure, you can handle that. Maybe you could do it with Rafa, you know, and you would see that. But again, it didn't bother me because we're not friends outside the classroom. What you say to me isn't going to bother me when I go back home. So, yeah.
Okay, you said you applied to a couple of universities, but you only got admission from Dresden.
Yes. I did apply as well to the one in Munich.
TUM.
I didn't get the one I wanted. I wanted environmental. But it's kind of a blessing because the environmental one was basically more environment, less water. You'd have the water, but a small, like a few courses of it. And the one in TUD basically was mastering in water and urban water and everything water considered.
If you had contacted me at that point, I would have shown you another university. In Darmstadt, I think they do something hydrology or something in Darmstadt. Yeah, it's called tropical
Tropical forestry?
Not forestry, no, it's engineering. It's more of environmental, but more of hydrology. Yeah, so I think that's the acronym Trophy. Yeah, but that was nice. So, and like as you said, a lot of things about Dresden that you read on the internet. So I think I also have the same experience. People told me Dresden this, Dresden that, but I think I only visited there once. it was nice. People staring at you, but I could handle that.
100% people will stare at you, but I think I told someone about this the other time. Like, the staring doesn't affect me at all. Like, I will stare back. One of us will have to give way, probably you or me, but the staring doesn't. It's when they get physically or verbal, like they try to assault you physically or verbally. That's when I get a bit hesitant or scared. But the staring, 110% you'll get interested. If you are black or if you look quite different, if you have different colored hair, if you have a very fancy wig, they do not care. They will stare at you.
So how would you compare this experience with Hamburg, where you recently moved, more or less? How would you compare those two cities?
Oh, it's completely different. I love Hamburg. I love the diversity. You wouldn't have this in Dresden. You would not have this little... you wouldn't have this in Dresden. I would start with saying going and getting a proper wash, like a hair wash and a treatment. Never had that in Dresden. I got that in Hamburg. So it's completely different. Dresden is beautiful. Dresden is affordable. Dresden is very affordable. Hamburg is pricey.
Yeah.
But I would prefer pricey and the diversity any day. And I would say they're completely different and different for different reasons. Yeah, Dresden weather is still better than Hamburg weather. Let's be honest. But I still say I love Hamburg and everything about it. It's everything. It's a big city and it's perfect in all the things I'm looking for in a big city. The diversity, it's not so big like Berlin where you are overwhelmed by getting to places, but it's perfect in the sense of everything that I would love in a big city. Hamburg is it.
Was the aspect of diversity one that was it like a requirement for the next city you would move to after experiences in Dresden, or were you not in a luxury situation that you can pick based on the job offers that you have after finishing your master's?
I think it's the second one. I didn't have much of a luxury situation because I was getting a bit frustrated with the job applications.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So like I said, I did my master's in Dresden. I did start it in October 2021. I did finish in March 2024 of this year, so roughly 2.5 years. I took a bit longer with my thesis. And so I started the job application just after that, in March. And I would get a ton of, unfortunately, we're sorry, this and this. And I was applying to the big companies, right? You know, the ones that have these graduate programs. So you expect, at least one of them will give me a yes. You know, they're looking, if you're a diversity hire, it's not bad, but, you get a yes.
Yeah.
And I was not getting a yes from any of them. And I was getting really frustrated. So I was like, okay, maybe stop applying to the big cities and try the smaller cities because everyone's applying to the big cities. So the diversity issue in terms of application, it was a thought at the beginning. Midway April, end of April, I didn't really care about it.
Nice to have, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it's nice to have, but I really need a job if I want to stay in Germany. And yes, I did have my student job that I was still doing.
Oh, okay. So you always worked while you studied?
No, I worked in my second year. I began working in the second year of my master's. The first year I didn't work, but I did have the student job, but it was part-time and it was not in my field. And I did feel like I was wasting time, wasting years doing a job that's not in my field.
Well, you're making money, paying your bills.
Yeah, but it's not what I thought I would be at that particular age or that particular time after my master's, because I had this well thought out plan. My vision board had been set, and it wasn't what I had planned to be at in 1st of May. Still doing a part-time job at H&M. Like I was so grateful I had it, because having to ask your parents to fund you when your master's is finished, when they could say, just come home. Yeah. So that helped me keep myself while I was looking for this job. So I'm extremely grateful to it. But yeah, so when I was doing the applications, I was not applying to any job. I was applying to jobs which I saw a career path in. So management, project management jobs in hydrology. And luckily, the job I did get and the job that was I did get and the application was quite easy was the one in Hamburg. And this is the one city I never thought I would go to. I think there's only one other job I applied to that was in Hamburg. This was the second job. All the other jobs were in Frankfurt, Stuttgart, Berlin, Leipzig.
Have you been to Hamburg before? Or
Never.
again, you applied to a city that you did not really know?
I'd never been to Hamburg before.
Mm-hmm.
I just all the jobs I wanted and all the large companies, Siemens and Bosch, and have these graduate programs and RWE. None of them have major offices in Hamburg. I applied to tons of jobs in Essen because there are tons of those big companies in the renewable energy field in Essen based there. And and then Hamburg was only 2 jobs I applied to, and this one that I work in was the second one, and I moved here, and I was really shocked that Hamburg was a city that I ended up moving to. Grateful at the end. So yeah.
But during the job application, like when you apply for this job, how many stages of interviews?
This particular job?
Yeah.
There were 3 interviews.
Intense or?
Not really. Because the particular job that I work at, it's more into the IT and audiovisual world. And I don't have that background. My background is more with like hydrology and project management, because in the 2 years I worked, I did project management. And this particular job that I work at is a project engineer. So you manage projects, it's people management, talking to people, seeing what they want, And I did have that background. So even in my cover letter, I did state that I do not have a background in this, but I'm interested in learning how to manage people. And when I got a call back, I did state in the interviews that, I didn't have this background, but I didn't have this particular background, but I do have a background in managing people, talking to people, and I want to learn further. And that's how most of my interviews went, was just seeing if I'll be a right fit and if I was open to learning and if I was, that kind of vibe.
So no technical stage in your interview?
A little bit of technical. Another part of this particular job is you need to have CAD experience.
Okay, CAD, yeah.
And I have tons of CAD experience from because all the drawings I've done, all my drawings are always done in CAD. Different CAD softwares, because we use BricsCAD in this one. I'm well versed with AutoCAD, but CAD is CAD regardless.
Okay.
So most of our drawings are done in CAD. Most of our work is done in CAD. Technical work is done in CAD, so that was easy. It was just knowing what to draw, but the software was easy.
Yeah, so do you see a relation with what you studied and also what you do at work?
Yeah, my technical skills in terms of the soft skills, I had some of them. It was just more the brain work, the details, the fine details that I didn't have much knowledge in, that I'm still learning actually.
Yes. And how long have you been there now?
3 months.
3 months. And everything is going great, as I can see.
Honestly, yeah, it's going good. I'm doing, I'm way farther ahead than I thought I would be in terms of managing people already.
Nice.
Getting to talk to clients, being at the back end. You're still at the back end in terms of very critical decisions. But if my boss wants a question from one of our clients, I'm the one who goes and asks for it.
You speak English? Most of your clients are actually English speaking?
Most of our clients are non-Germans.
Nigerian?
Non-Germans.
Non-Germans. I thought I had Nigerian. I was like...
I think we do have a little Nigerian clients. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. So why studying, was your master's here, would you actually say it was difficult compared to what you had in Africa?
I wouldn't say difficult. I would say the material was quite easy.
Okay.
The material was quite easy. The load work was easier compared to what we had in Africa, because I feel like our load work, our term work was a load compared to the assignments or the papers due here. I think the thing that I found a bit harder was, I wouldn't say this particular master's is new.
Okay.
I think that we celebrated 20 years anniversary recently for this particular master's, but trying to find the details to learn about past papers or documentation or textbooks regarding this, but like particular answers you'd want, most would be in German.
Okay.
So you're forced with very limited literature in English. So that was the only difficult part, and perhaps I didn't enjoy the group work that we do, because group work, you're tied with people. People have different agendas.
Yeah, but did your study pattern change, like what it was back home and here?
Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I studied more than I did back home, because I did feel it was harder to get the grades. Back home, I did do a lot of group discussions and I had a ton of people around me. Here, you would have group discussions, but I felt better studying alone. I enjoyed the library and my room mainly, and I felt like I learned better solo. Like in the classroom, it was okay being in a group of people, asking your neighbor, what did he mean by this? But when I'm trying to retain the material, like past classes, it felt better to do it solo as compared to what I did back home, because I relied more on people back home, group discussions to get all the information into my brain before the exam. But here, I think I enjoyed studying more alone.
But while studying, like, do you guys have like internship for students while you were studying?
It wasn't compulsory.
Uh-huh.
Some people did it, but it wasn't compulsory. You would do it to get more course credits, if you understand. So if you do that, you don't have to do a particular course the next semester. And sadly, again, most of the people that would do this, not sadly for me, they were in German. So there weren't many opportunities, so I saw no need to do it.
I'm getting the impression you're a really independent person, really ambitious, and it seems like the things that you plan work out. There are two fields that I want to dive in the next minutes. First of all, I'm really curious, where were the challenges, and maybe was there also a moment that you regret that you chose that path, like coming to Germany, doing the masters here?
I would say no regrets, actually. No regrets. I do have times when I think about the path I'm on working here. Okay, if I compare it to some of my friends back home, we're in a totally different path. People are starting families and having kids and, settling down. And I'm not yet on that path. And I think maybe coming to Germany, I do not know if I'll get on that path. As if I don't know if I would be on that path already if I was still home.
Yeah,
I might have been, but coming to Germany might have set that off a bit. But I do not have any regrets, because it has enabled me grow out of a shell I had back home, if you meant.
what kind of shell?
Not shy, definitely, but more reserved, more, how can I describe it? So you know how when you get the chance to reinvent yourself, right? And people that knew you when you were 13 or 14 or 15, and they see you out at 21 and you look completely different, like, oh my gosh, you do that now. People seem not to think you can reinvent yourself or like have different changes through the different seasons in your lives. And Germany allowed me to reinvent myself in a way compared to how I was back home. It's not entirely different, but I feel I'm bolder in a way. I wouldn't say less shy, because I wasn't shy, but I feel I'm bolder because I wasn't a people pleaser, but bolder and allowing myself to say no and be confident with my no. Living in Germany allowed me to do that to myself, allow myself to do that.
And the aspect of independency, was it always something that was part of you, or is it also something that you grew into and that it became more important for you to be independent?
I think it's been a little bit part of me, because I always related back to have you guys done about the 16 personality traits?
I heard about it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they send out, try this personality trait, let me see where you fall. Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a bit accurate, because mine tells even back home, INTJ, I think. and it's a bit of being very independent. And I do not like relying on people.
But do you think it changed? Like if you do it this year, you do it next year, do you think you still get the same thing?
You know what? It was INTJ always, but it changed from, there's the last one that has the assertive and something else. Mine is more assertive. It used to be the other one, which I've forgotten.
So you talked about how you reinvented yourself since you got here, but I think that's quite different from being independent. So can you like share how you've changed, or were you always an independent person, or is something you had to start that here? Because I think Germany as a country gives you this level of independence. You have to do things on your own.
Okay, so I can elaborate more on that. Doing things on my own and enjoying my own company are different. That's what I mean by being independent. Because back home, you're surrounded by people. You're not alone. So I've had many stories of people say getting friends is hard in Germany. You know, having to do stuff on your own or being stuck in your house is something people don't particularly want. I enjoy that. I'm a homebody. I like to bed rot. You know, coming here this morning was hard. But I have plans after this. So I'm like, kill two birds with one stone. Now let's go back to the whole having to do things on your own here in Germany. Back home, you have someone who does something entirely for you. You have a plumber, you have an electrician that are all saved on your phone. That part I don't enjoy, but I've not got to do most of the stuff here because I've not had to do the plumbing or the electrical stuff in my apartment. You know, I've not come across such activities yet.
When you were giving out your apartment, when you were done with your studies, did you have to paint the room?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So
No, I didn't have to.
They took your caution? If you don't paint, I know they take your caution.
No, because I've not particularly, because when I was a student, I didn't have to paint the room. I returned the student room as it was.
Okay.
I didn't put anything on the walls because I was told if you put anything on the walls, you're going to have to repaint. I didn't put anything on the walls. I just, rearranged the furniture, put new furniture, and then put everything back as it was. But the walls and ceilings, I didn't do anything on it.
Okay.
And then you go back to the being independent part. Maybe let me get this right. When I say I'm independent, I'm not saying I don't want people around me, but I don't rely on people as much as I would say my sister or my mom do, because they want people around them. I'm fine spending the weekend alone because I know Monday to Friday I'm surrounded by people. So that alone time gives me time to just rest and recharge. So it's quite different for me because I think it also goes back to making friends. I think you guys have noticed I can make friends easily.
Yeah, I see that.
Keeping friends is a problem.
How is this a problem?
That's where the independence comes in, or me loving to be alone. Because having to continuously, week after week, I don't know how to describe it per se, but I can't be with this particular friend or friend group for a long period of time continuously, event after event after event. Like at a point, I want to be alone.
You get bored?
Not bored, I get tired. Like your social battery runs out. So I call myself an ambivert. So I enjoy the extroverted activities. But if I go, like I'm out with you on Saturday, I'm not doing anything on Sunday. I want to be home. So making friends is easy. Keeping the friends, it's not that I discard the friends, but at the end, they kind of feel I don't know how to describe this. How can I describe this?
It sounds a little bit like
Can
people could feel neglected.
Yeah, because I want to be alone for a certain period of time, or I'm not as eager to do a ton of activities with them, you know? It's not like I don't want to be with them. I just want to be alone for a couple of days. So, and that in turn makes them feel a bit, neglected perhaps. But yeah, that's when I say I'm kind of independent because I really enjoy my own company. I really, really enjoy my own company. So I didn't have that problem moving here. When people say they feel lonely or depressed, I didn't feel that way. I do not know how to describe it, but I didn't feel that way because I do enjoy my own company. So when I do have time to spend with the friends, no matter how the little friends that I have, that's enough to recharge me, to like get that social battery recharged. And then when I'm done with it, I can retreat and be in my little woman cave. And then when I feel like I need to go back out in the wild again, I can do so. If you get what I mean.
Yeah. So, but you actually said, you don't know what it actually feels to be depressed and all. But if someone, maybe your circle, feels that way and relate that to you, will you be able to understand and navigate the situation?
I would try.
Okay, that's valid.
I would try. My sister says this all the time. She always calls me for like, because she's very. While I'm INTJ, she's INF. So the T is thinking, right? The F is feeling. So you have like, my feeling percentage is quite small compared to my thinking. My sister has more feeling. So when she calls me and she wants to vent, I immediately, I'm sorry, but I always propose solutions. And that's one of my biggest weaknesses. I don't listen. I'm always, how do we fix this? I'm not like, okay, well, how do you feel? And that's a big weakness I have, like, because I don't vent to other people. I never do. I figure out how to solve it, and if I can't, I let it sit, and then I'll think of something else later. But when people come to vent to me, my first reaction is, how do we solve it? It's never, how are you feeling? And that's something I learned recently, and I'm trying to work on as well. So
during your interview stage, when they asked for your strengths and weaknesses, you told them this?
I told them I'm adaptable. I'm quite adaptable. That's one thing I noticed. I wouldn't say I'm a chameleon, but I'm able to assess the situation and find a way to adapt to it or find similarities with the person or the people. You know, I think that's where it comes in with making friends easy. You know, you're able to find the similarities in someone and make them feel comfortable and make them, lower their guard. But after that's done, I'm good. I can walk away. Some people want more. I, at that point, don't want more.
So how did this, learnings about yourself also help you to fit into the working environment in Germany? Because I can imagine working here, the culture is really different than it was in Kampala.
Totally different, because I would say with the German work culture, it's work, get things done, then we can play after. You get? Everyone is serious 9 to 6. You have a little lunch break, you can have a little chit chat, but you're working. One thing I have noticed as I am on my phone a lot, but working has made me realize I need to get my phone and do the work. Then I can be on my phone later. Because back home, you could go to the office at 8, do work for 30 minutes, chat with Leo for another next hour, go back to work for 30 minutes, chat with you for next hour. So it's not structured. It's not, it's sometimes, it's work, play. But with German, like, you get your work done, you get your deadlines finished, then you can play. And I do enjoy it because it gets you, you get to finish all the tasks you set up for the day, and you don't have things lingering over your head, and you don't have to go home and do overtime because you didn't finish what you're supposed to do during the day. So that part I like. And I'm still adjusting to it because, like I said, I do tend to be on my phone more than I should at the office sometimes.
Okay,
so how do you make friends here? I think you have a formula for that. Yeah, sure.
I do. I use a ton of social media. So you can use Bumble BFF if you don't want the dating part. There's the BFF part, And that's how I met my first friends in Dresden. And I traveled with these girls. We went to Budapest. We went to Greece. We went to Paris. We went all over.
Wow.
I know. And this is the same group of people you travel with. So if you travel once and you're still cool with them, we celebrate each other's birthdays. We spend Christmases together. Okay, one Christmas, because the other one I went home. The other ones I went home. And then Bumble BFF, if you're not looking for the dating part, Bumble BFF is great. And with Bumble, and then another one in Hamburg I used was After 5. So again, social media, you fill in a questionnaire. What stage you are at your life? Am I working? Am I a student? Am I a mom? Am I, you write what you're looking for. You're looking for a friend. You're looking for people to go out with, people to go shopping with. And then they match you with a group of people. And then you can reserve a seat at the table, what we call reserve a seat at the table. And then you just show up at a restaurant and be like, here, reservation for after 5. And then you go sit and you see who shows up.
Okay. And people always show up.
People always show up because you pay. Do you know how much you pay for that?
Okay.
It's a lot of money. Show up.
Well, but it seems to work for you.
Yeah, it seems because my first table meet, I met, we were a total of 6 girls. And the 3 of us have...
With 6 girls?
Yeah, 6 girls.
Okay, it's a female platform.
After 5 is female, yes.
Ah, okay, I didn't know. Okay, interesting.
After 5 is female. And these 3 ladies, we have done so many activities together. We practically go out every weekend. And we have an upcoming poker night as well. So we're going to play poker and drink wine and just shit money out of ourselves.
So let me wrap this up. You came to Hamburg like 6 months ago?
3 months.
3 months ago. You found a flat in this big city, which is a struggle. You should share how you did that. You managed to find friends. Like, I imagine you moving here on a Friday, going out on a Saturday. Is this how it went?
No, actually moved here on a Friday, went to work on a Monday.
There you go.
And getting the apartment was easy?
No, getting the apartment, I got a sublease.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Because my work offered to help me find a flat. Like, they offered to do the viewings for me. But I'm very particular with flats. This is quite silly. I don't like bathtubs.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't like bathtubs at all. So that's one of my criteria when looking for a flat.
I don't want one?
I don't mind, the small shower trays?
Yeah.
I don't mind the small shower trays. I don't like bathtubs.
Okay. And why don't you like bathtubs?
I don't like to float in my in my bath water. Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, but if the drainage is good, you don't need to float.
Yeah, but like, you're walking up to enter the bath and then you're walking back out. You're walking up. It's so odd for me. So I don't like bathtubs. So when they offered, I was like, how do I tell these people that have only seen me once that I don't like bathtubs? They're going to say I'm very odd and particular. So I was like, no. I told them, no, it's fine. I'll find a flat. Again, I found this flat through social media. There is something called Flats for Friends. Flats for Friends. You know it? It's on Instagram. You just see who's subleasing, who's offering a flat. You write them a message. Unfortunately, unless you're in the same city, you can't do a real viewing. So I did an online viewing. And I was hoping they were not a scammer, but I didn't send any money. I only sent money once I arrived in Hamburg. So I saw the flat. It had all the amenities I needed because I don't want much space. I don't want 60 square meters. I'm one person. What am I going to do with 60 square meters? And that's how I got the flat. It's a sublease. It's a short one. So currently I'm also looking for a flat for a long term because I'm going to be in Hamburg for a while. That's a bit harder now. And then the other question was friends.
Yeah.
The friends, like I mentioned, social media again. Because do you want to sit home every weekend? I don't mind sitting home every Sunday. But let me be out on Saturday. You get. And again, after 5. So, yeah, that's how it was. Mostly social media and seeing what's out there. And, yeah.
But you said the sublease now. I know, like, with sublease, I don't know if you could do the city registration with that.
You can. You have to ask the potential landlord, is it registration possible? And then they let you know.
Okay, cool.
So mine was possible because that's one of the criteria. No bathtub, city registration.
Interesting. Someone that don't like a bathtub.
And you know what? We grew up with bathtubs. Like, okay, we had a bathtub and a shower tray. I never used a bathtub because, I don't know, it just felt odd to me. You're jumping over a fence to take a shower.
And you're jumping out.
And then jumping out. But you know what? Ask me in a couple of months. I might have an apartment with a bathtub.
Yeah.
I'll take it. It's okay.
Fingers crossed, definitely, for finding an apartment in Hamburg. Okay, so 3 months. What are your plans for the next 6 months, for the next 12 months? Where do you see yourself?
Still in Hamburg, definitely. Still working. I do want to improve my German. That's something I'm really invested in for the next year. It's now not all talk. It's not only going to be on my vision board. I'm going to actually, when you put money on something, you're forced to do it, you know.
True.
So me spending my hand and money to register for classes is something that I really, really want to do. And 6 months in Germany, 6 months right now would be that. Still working, still in Hamburg, still with my friend group, more traveling. I do plan to go to South America sometime next year as well. And yeah.
What about the visit back home?
Oh, I'm going for Christmas in 2 weeks.
Oh, okay, nice.
Interesting.
Cool.
So yeah, that's basically it.
Sounds amazing. And fingers crossed that everything works out. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.